Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we've got a huge update that's been all over the news because President Trump made one of his boldest announcements of a second term. He's saying that 2026 could bring the biggest tax refund many Americans have ever seen. And on top of that, he's talking again about sending out $2,000 tariff dividend checks. When you first hear numbers like that, it almost feels unreal, especially if you're someone who's juggling bills or trying to stretch every paycheck. But there's actually a lot happening behind the scenes that explains why people are excited and also why some are warning folks to slow down and pay attention to the details. Before we go further, tell me in the comments, if you had extra money coming next year, even a few $100s, what would you use it for first? I love reading your answers because it reminds people they're not alone in the struggles they deal with every day. So, let's break down what the president actually said. During a cabinet meeting, Trump looked around the room and said next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever. And statements like that travel fast, especially online. But here's the interesting part. A big tax law was already approved earlier this year, and it's called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The name definitely stands out, but what matters is what it does. It expands parts of the 2017 tax cuts, and it raises the standard deduction for families while adjusting some tax brackets so more of your income stays in the lower ranges. These changes could really boost refunds for a lot of people. When you think about how most Americans handle their taxes, this makes sense. Plenty of people don't change their paycheck withholding at all, so they end up paying more during the year than needed. Then tax season comes around and the refund becomes that one moment of relief. It doesn't feel like money you overpaid, it feels like a bonus. And surveys show that people aren't spending that money on luxuries. Most use it for rent, groceries, bills, or paying down debt they've been carrying for months. So when the administration talks about bigger refunds, it's easy to see why that hits home. But then comes the part that's getting even more attention, these $2,000 tariff dividend checks. Trump says the country is collecting so much tariff revenue from foreign imports that working and middle-income Americans deserve a share of it. He talked about sending at least $2,000 per person while excluding higher-income households. The way he said it made a lot of people feel like it's something that could happen quickly. But once you look deeper, the math behind it gets a lot more complicated. The administration talks about trillions coming in from tariffs, but analysts say the real number is nowhere near that. Estimates for this year put tariff revenue at around $258 billion. That's a big number, but sending $2,000 to every American would cost far more than that. Even if you cut out high earners, you'd still need hundreds of billions of dollars. And with the federal deficit already extremely high, extra money isn't easy to find. Plus, the president can't send out checks on his own. Congress would have to approve it, and right now there's no bill that guarantees these payments. Some officials have mentioned that the dividend could take other forms, like tax relief instead of direct checks, but nothing is final yet. Even there are lawmakers pushing for much smaller rebates, but those proposals haven't moved either. So this part of the plan is still very uncertain, even though it sounds great when you hear it in speeches. There's something else that could shake things up even more. A Supreme Court case is currently examining how the administration uses tariff powers. If the court rules that certain tariffs weren't applied properly, the government might actually have to refund money to importers. That would mean less revenue, not more, and it would make the idea of sending large dividend checks even harder. It shows how quickly things can change when courts step in or when Congress pushes back. So, what does all of this mean for regular people? The part that seems the most real right now is the bigger refunds. That's tied to an actual approved law, and families could genuinely see more money during next year's tax season. That's something you can plan around. The checks, on the other hand, are still just a proposal. They could happen, but they're not guaranteed, and there are a lot of financial and political challenges that would need to be solved first. Even if a plan like this moves forward, tariffs themselves can raise prices on everyday goods. When companies are charged more for importing items, that cost usually gets passed down to shoppers. So even if a check eventually arrives, people might have already paid more at stores because of the tariffs that funded it. It's something that makes this whole topic more complicated than it sounds during a speech. Looking ahead, bigger refunds in 2026 seem very likely thanks to the new tax law. The extra check is something that might happen, but isn't something anyone should count on yet. Still, it's understandable why people are paying attention. For many families, $2,000 can be life-changing. It can cover rent, school supplies, groceries, or help pay off a debt that's been weighing on them. So now I really want to hear from you. Do you think bigger refunds will make a difference for you? Do you feel like the government should focus on refunds, checks, or something else entirely? Your thoughts help others feel seen and heard. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.